verification of posting. And if everyone has read the minutes of the previous meetings, I would need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Awesome idea, Christine. I left myself a note to remind you.
What was that?
Stapling them together.
Oh, everything in one
Thank
packet.
you.
You're welcome.
Oh, I didn't get mine, so. A motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Approval to deviate from the agenda.
Move to deviate if needed.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded to deviate if necessary. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carried. Next, we'll move to public comments.
I'd like to,
Sheriff Wright?
I want to talk today about due process of law and being unbiased, key parts in an investigation. It's a shame when a 5-member committee can break rules and guidelines that are already in place to assure the needed due process of law is followed and abided. Guidelines of the Sheriff's Office that demands a complainant to sign the complaint as true and correct with specific details as to what is believed to have been involved or violated. Signed as if found to be false, the complainant can be charged with a crime. In the case of the missing money in 2013, it was thoroughly investigated by 2 assistant agencies, a Brown County detective, a retired Marinette County detective. Polygraphs were given to the employees who voluntarily took the test and passed, and now have signed waivers to allow it to be known that they did so. In open session of 5/5/14, it was talked about by members of the committee as to the polygraphs being given. Chairman Gene Hoppy brings up the polygraph testing and also makes a comment about people going out of the jail with pockets full of money. Administrative member Nofke, after Corporation Counsel Cordes comes into the room and gives advice on what can and cannot be talked about, admits they may have just said it on camera. A tape of the meeting was edited to delete about 1 minute 3 seconds. This is called closing the barn door after the horse ran out. Now these are elected county officials who answer to the voters of the county. If it had been one of my employees caught editing a public record, I can assure you there would have been disciplinary action taken and future employment very doubtful. The cost to cover the test was over $1,000 to administer, and the public safety at the time questioned spending that amount of money to try and get back $1,000. Now the admin committee is again spending taxpayers' money to go over this, when it appears this investigation was not approved by the county board for funding. The committee in essence is telling the public not only do they not trust their own sheriff and employees, but also a Brown County detective and former Marinette County detective. Veteran detectives of both agencies trained in criminal investigation. Rather they trust an attorney they themselves have hired to do a fair and unbiased investigation. One should also wonder why an attorney has also been given the okay to do the investigation into the jail as for missing money, and the missing money only in the jail, back when May 19th, 2014 in an admin meeting. It takes till now, only 4 weeks prior to an election, to start the investigation. Why? Since May 19 till now, blind man on a fast horse can see why. Again, who is paying for this investigation, and was the whole county board made aware of it? Is it truly fair and unbiased? Another part of the process is to have a valid complainant willing to give testimony against those accused. In the complaint or investigation of the Republican Party picnic, candidate Peter Beaver and the leader states he has no plan on signing a formal complaint against the detectives, but is happy the committee is investigating this matter. Of course he is. It's giving him free name recognition right now. Again, it is a shame that the committee is spending taxpayers' money on a political witch hunt. Unbiased investigation. This committee is made up of at least 4 people who have disagreement with me or support my opponent. Jerry has a problem with me in the sheriff's office prior to me even being a sheriff. His son was not hired by a former sheriff, and I was advisors when I took office because of that. Jerry has worked for the sheriff's office ever since. His son worked for Wisconsin Rapids PD, Menominee Tribal Police Department, and now our own Department of Social Services with his mother. Jerry also didn't like the fact that I took a letter he wrote to other county board chairs regarding evidence storage to the media. That letter was to be on behalf of an ad hoc evidence committee. That committee had not even met when that letter was authored. He has Beaver sign probably displayed out in his front yard at the roadside. Bonnie Olson, another Beaver supporter, wearing his t-shirts at parades, the fairgrounds, and races. When in parades, I could see her as I was approaching with her Beaver shirt on. When she noticed me, she'd try to cover it up. She also co-sponsored a new policy book along with Nafke and the same attorney now doing the investigations. Why was there a need for Olson, Nafke, an attorney to redo an employee policy book when a transition team of department heads, managers, and elected officials already put one together, which was approved by several committees and about to go before the whole board, then suddenly disappeared? Whatever happened to it, and how much taxpayer money was spent on something already done by a transition team? How much did it cost? Gene Hoppy, mad at me since I would not punish 3 correction staff for missing money in 2013. Up until then, a supposed supporter, but after very bitter towards me. Also making a predetermined statement on 5/5/14 that people are walking out of the jail with pockets full of money. Deb Nafke, Beaver supporter, out by the store is a sign, donated money, supposedly painted signs, like a giddy little schoolgirl wore a Beaver shirt for sheriff to a county board meeting and county board photo. Later in an admin meeting when Supervisor Lukes questioned her actions in doing this, scoffed at being told she shouldn't have done it, and the photo was redacted to take out the Beaver shirt. Her and her father filed notice of claims against the county for a search done of her home. Candidate Beaver is on record saying search did not follow procedures. That's not true. The information obtained was gone over by Langley detectives, a Langley assistant district attorney, and signed by a Langley county judge. Now this is a way to run an unbiased investigation, not by hiring an attorney by a biased committee. She also has her son-in-law, Luke Christensen, running as an independent for sheriff to try to take votes away from me. Bill Switala, maybe the only person on the committee without a grudge. How in the world can this be called even close to following due process and unbiased as an investigation? A witch hunt at taxpayers' expense, with more than likely something coming out right before the election to cloud the voting. What a shame. 2 cases. One, no complainant. The other, fully investigated by professional detectives. This is an investigation engineered by at least 4 people on this committee, whereas as biased against me or my office as can be. If they truly had something that was misconduct, myself and my staff would be talking to the State Department of Criminal Investigation rather than a hand-picked attorney hired by this committee. I want to make my distaste known for someone not being in law enforcement having access to law enforcement emails and files. This handbook was put into place last fall of 2013, which members of the admin committee have supposed right to start investigations against anyone, anytime, for anything. Files have been accessed, but no one except this committee knows how long it's been going on, or for that matter, it's what was accessed. Many law enforcement sensitive activities and planning issues have been sent across those lines of communications since last fall, and may still be ongoing now for all I know. Question is, who has learned of sensitive law enforcement matters, some of which were search warrants being planned and prepared? How much has been leaked to those non-enforcement persons? There's a person already on Facebook claiming to have portions of this very investigation I'm talking about now, and claiming already to have portions ready to leak to the public. Not a wise move on anyone's part. Another link to the due process law. You never give out information on ongoing investigation. Unbiased? No. A witch hunt to discredit my office, my reputation, and my staff. A shame and bad politics, to say the least. Again, at taxpayers' expense. Now I'm hearing from people who have read the articles in the Leader, mostly after the second article in which the county board chair tried to explain why the investigation is ongoing. People say to me, it looks like the county board mafia is out to get you and your staff, and they just put a hit out for you. Again, not only a slap in the face to 2 agencies that assisted in the missing money investigation, but also a waste of taxpayers' money to just get revenge on another candidate into office. We are to believe a committee that we know has altered at least one public record on a file. How many other things have been altered to cover themselves from wrongdoing? We have a county board chairman sending out letters to other chairmen requesting information, claiming to have been authorized by a committee that had never met prior. We have a redacted public record done by a committee to cover up what they should not have been talking about in a predetermined statement. We have missing employee policy handbook put together by department heads and managers that is missing. Money used at taxpayers' expense to redo something that was already done. We have people being interrogated for 3.5 to 4 hours for investigations either already done or shouldn't even be doing. At what expense to the taxpayers? We have non-law enforcement attorney going through files of the sheriff's office many of which are sensitive in nature, and no one except this committee knows what's being looked at. We have a public safety chairman stating he believes this admin committee has too much power now, and the investigation being done was like being hit in the back of the head with a 2x4 when he found out it was being done. What else is going on behind the scenes with this admin committee, and are we to trust them? When I have my staff being interrogated by a private attorney for up to 4 hours in length, I'm not an attorney, but I do believe this falls into hostile work conditions. Winston Churchill once said, "You have enemies? Good. That means you stood up for something in your life." Another British legislator also stated, "Evil abounds due to good men doing nothing." Well, I'm here to tell you there's men and women out there that are tired of doing nothing. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other public comment? Then we will move on to the recruitment process.
Okay. Okay, first of all, I'll give you just a little update on the cost so far for the position of the administrative coordinator. And Christine has been receiving the bills. I've kind of been spending the money, but she's been receiving the bills, and they're coming out of the administrative coordinator's budget. But we're kind of right on line. We've only spent $1,151.60. And basically that was just for the WTCH radio ad, which was around $495. It was exactly that. And then the channel leader ran $606, and we only had to pay $50 for that one ad, which was for the Wisconsin City County Managers Association. The rest of the advertisement we found that was, we were able to post it free. So that was good. I think it gave me a budget of between $1,500 and $2,000, so we stayed well below that. And I don't anticipate getting any other bills, and I don't think Christine does either. That should be everything.
I think we have that.
Okay, I received the names that you wanted contacted for the interview process. There were 8 people that were to be contacted, and I did get a response back from 7. So all the applications are on file. I don't know if someone wants those right now. Are you going to be looking at those today, or or do I hold them in my office until you request them? I don't know what your prerogative is.
What did, just the files, the resumes?
Well, what the file contains is, some of them have like a letter of information this gentleman does. And then it's the employment, Shawano County employment application, and then the release of information agreement that was requested. And I had written them a letter and emailed them these documents, and like I said, 7 out of 8 returned them.
So we do have the releases and the applications?
Yes, all on file now.
Okay, cool.
That was faster than I thought.
Yes.
Yeah, it came back within like 2 days. Some of them came in late yesterday, one this morning, but
Question for you, Rosie, there weren't any other applications received, were there?
late, you mean, or anything? No,
Yeah.
no,
Okay, so the applications we received are it.
that's it. There were 22 altogether.
Which is actually pretty amazing considering,
Well, considering there's 22 applications, it's pretty good.
yeah.
So I don't know, you're going into closed session today?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I'll just hand these over, this whole file to you, and then when you're finished with them, I'll just take them back. And I've got kind of a summary of who they are, their addresses, and their email address on there, and phone number.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
So is there anything else that you were expecting me to do? That you know right now, or don't you know that?
No, just pin a gold star on for today or something. Because
Okay,
awesome
Thank you so
job.
much, you did an awesome job.
Okay, I don't think there's anything else that I need to stay around for. Okay, I'll be on to then.
All right.
On to the next, just a little faster than the last one.
Okay, next is the discussion and possible action concerning closing on December 26th. Yep. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's good.
Or just set it right over there.
Tom, did you get any feedback from anyone that said, absolutely not, or that it was unworkable?
In regard to the 26th, I don't know if it's in this one or not, public safety, voted 41 not to close.
Not to close.
Well, they're 24/7 anyway.
Right, exactly. That's the highway.
So did highway.
That's for you guys.
Yeah, highway did too.
Right.
It's all there. Some of the committees just reported back within the last couple days. So I created this document for you.
Okay, it looks like the majority.
It's like the majority that are like office environments thought yes.
The other ones felt no.
Yeah.
I know at one of the meetings I was at, the question was, if we do this on the 26th, will we need to do it again on the 2nd? Is that the date that's...
Usually we don't do anything about, or at least when I've worked here and other places I've worked, the day after New Year's is always open, no matter when it is. It just, unless it's Saturday or Sunday, but yeah, I don't see that as being an issue.
Okay.
I really don't.
You know, I'm actually amazed the number of people that, especially county board members, that have said not to close. Because I feel, hey, staff, and granted 24/7 operations are different, but staff didn't get a salary adjustment last year. This is one way of at least saying, hey, thank you. Now granted, it is totally up to me to make that decision, but I think we're getting input from board members this time as well as staff, because I do know in some departments you're going to have the department head along with 3 or 4 other individuals in this building that are going to be taken off. So again, you would run at a skeleton crew at best.
And they still would be required to take PTO, is that correct?
Right.
One department actually, I think it was Ag and Extension, voted that you'd have an opportunity to take PTO, or you'd just take the day off with nothing, without pay.
Randy,
I guess as far as highway is concerned, we would like to stay open due to snow season, and if individuals request off, we allow off as staffing permits. If it snows, obviously everybody's going to be there. But that was the highway committee and myself. We would, as far as the highway department, would like to stay open on the 26th. But,
Yeah, and if it snows, you don't have a choice. So
correct. Just makes it easier with basically mandating them to take off, and then we have to call them in. Obviously up to you individuals, but from our standpoint, whether or not, if the courthouse is open or closed, doesn't matter to us.
Right.
We're a separate location.
Right.
We would like to stay open and handle it on our end.
I think it's fact most of the departments that are offices, unlike highway and law enforcement, where they're out on the streets, it would make sense to be closed. Just because it's a Friday.
That's kind of what you talked about the courthouse being
Right.
closed.
DSS, DCP.
Yeah, we can be both departments.
it boils down to the point, maybe we could just let the department head.
But at the courthouse, you wouldn't want the public showing up and saying,
No.
oh, but why is this office open and not that one?
That's a good point, yeah.
It makes
No, the courts are both closed that day.
I think that's what triggered all this.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
court,
I think
there
you're right,
wasn't going to
yeah.
be any courts.
Right, there's
The
no
judges are
courts.
taking vacation that day, that's why the courts are closed. And that's basically what triggered it.
So is this then admin decision, or is it your decision?
Unfortunately, it comes down to me again. But I've been shot at before, so it doesn't make any difference to me.
Okay.
We took it last time, you and I, we'll take it again
Yeah,
today.
we took it last time.
Yeah, do it again today, what the heck.
Did you have a lot of complaint last time?
Actually, last year, for the 5th of July, which was a Friday, not one staff person complained, not one. The only complaints were from 3 county board members. That was it. So,
Is it possible to make that option available to everyone, saying you have to take a PTO, or if you want to just take the day off without pay? Is that option available to
I
everyone?
don't know, I'd have to look at the new handbook. Because
Is
I
it how to
think,
use
It's
people?
just something you
I think
have to
it's-
use, right?
yes.
It's something, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, every other place I've worked, counties, if there's a day off, you know, if they have PD, you have to use that time. You just,
Right.
you can't really go without pay, you know, not unless you don't have anything at all.
Right, what if you don't have any?
Well, then, you know, and again, we talked about this before, and I mentioned that the beauty of PTO is that it puts the responsibility back on the hands, back in the hands of the employee. They gotta learn to plan, you know, and I found out when I came back here in '96, PTO was relatively new. For me, being a new employee, it was lovely. I knew I could plan my time, I knew exactly how much time I had to take, and I had a bonus, I had extra time. You know, so I would think that most everybody should have PTO. They accrue at a certain rate, it depends on what their factor is, or what their, I forget the word for
Years of
that.
service.
Yeah, you know, but when I was new, I was still getting 2 days a month, and I was only here for like 2 months. So I mean, you know, they are accruing time, time is always there. So I just can't believe that there'd be somebody without time to take off.
and I think we're letting individuals and staff know well in
Yes.
advance, so that they do at least have a couple months to plan.
Well, that's the issue. I think that's why we need you to do one or the other.
Right,
2
Jerry-
grants.
Right, Jerry needs to do it.
2 grants point though, I mean, that is a separate facility, it's 24/7. And it always seems to snow on this weekend.
Well, I was thinking, you know, couldn't the county board pass a resolution stating that there'll be no snow that weekend? Can we do that, you know?
We could, I don't know if
I don't know if
Thought I'd bring a little levity to the situation. It didn't
Okay,
work.
well, we've seen what the committees and departments prefer, and we'll just leave it up to Jerry then.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Well, would you rather that we do some kind of action?
No, it's totally up to me. I'll make the decision.
okay, then we will move on to refill patrolman position for the highway department.
Button, please.
I believe the next one goes into truck driver positions. If I give a summary of everything, if you don't mind.
That'd be great.
A month or so ago, I was here for patrolman positions for approval, and you approved the 2 patrolman positions. 2 individuals from within the highway department that are qualified expressed interest and are going to be given the patrolman positions. However, the one patrolman position here today for approval was because the starting wage rate was on the original PAR form, and we have an individual that has a fair amount of years of service who is transferring to the patrolman position, which would keep their current wage. So I was told I need to get approval of the PAR form with the corrected wage rate. So that's why the patrolman is here, and then the 2 truck driver PAR forms are for the transfers from 2 individuals from within
Okay.
to replace their positions.
And did you use the old scale or the new scale?
I put, I have on the low one that was approved last time is the old scale. However, the current individual individual's wage rate is higher than the starting wage rate. Which is why I'm here with an updated par form for the patrolman, for the position that you already approved, it just has a different wage rate. Because it's not the starting wage rate. The gentleman who's filling this position has been here.
Yes, he's basically just transferring.
It's a transfer, correct.
It's a lateral, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why, but the original par form had the starting wage rate on it, and that's not the case. So that's the patrolman, and the 2 truck drivers are the positions opened up from the 2 individuals that filled the patrolman positions.
It's all back to back, so.
Okay.
This one here, and we got it all back.
I didn't get the packet in the mail, and I wasn't gonna print out 51 sheets, so.
Do we have an extra copy?
Yes, we do. No, that's okay. I know my mail is much slower, but it's
It wasn't in the mail yesterday, so it's probably going to be in the mailbox when she gets home.
okay.
Yeah, but I
Not
got it,
yours.
and I live in Wittenberg. Sometimes I don't get this stuff. I mean, it's just amazing what the difference, I mean, it's not.
Okay, I guess we will need, do we want to do this separately?
I don't think we need to do it separately. One of them was just like Grant said, it's a transfer, and the other one is starting out at
At the
what
base rate?
seems to be the base rate.
Correct.
So we're talking 3 positions though, right? A patrolman.
You already
and 2 truck
approved
drivers.
2 patrolman positions previous meeting.
Right.
However, I'm back with an updated par form on one of the patrolman
Gotcha.
positions because I had the lower wage rate of the individual that transferred. So it was not technically correct. And then the truck driver positions are because of the 2 individuals that transferred from truck driver to patrolman.
Okay, so they will be new hires.
They will be new hires, two new hires.
Okay. I will need a motion to refill the,
I'll make a motion to approve the refills.
and the wage adjustment for the transfer.
Well, there really is no wage adjustment.
Well, I
He's
guess
starting out
the-
higher actually because. he's
The par form
the
adjustment.
par, yes, the par
Par
form.
form adjustment, okay. I'm kind of waiting for Christine to.
Yeah.
So what is it? Patrolman is funded by state, basically. Most of our maintenance on state highways. Individual plow on State Highway 29, do all the bridge maintenance, concrete repair on 29. Doesn't mean we don't use them on other works, such as towns, or village, or county, but mostly funded by state dollars.
Now, there's an off-ramp in Wittenberg, I don't know if you've ever noticed it, but it's got like a, sorry, I lost it. It's got a really nasty bump, right?
That would be a patrolman, yeah.
Just so you're aware of it.
The
It's like,
patrolman, the patrolman over in that area seemed to get rear-ended.
what do they call those things? The
Speed bump?
Speed bump, and I mean, it's a nasty speed bump. Right before you're supposed to.
An unintentional speed bump?
Yeah, really.
It looks like an intention. You should take a look at it.
Okay, Christine, I'll let you read it back.
Motion by Erdman, seconded by Swetala to accept the updated par forms and refill the positions as presented.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to refill the patrolman to update the par form and refill the truck driver positions. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
I'll give you a call if it comes. That wasn't it.
All right, see you later.
See you later.
And the correctional officer?
I would, Steve called me this morning and asked if I would do it for him. I don't know if, he said he'd come if you guys wanted to be there. But he basically indicated that this is basically standard operating procedure. It's, nothing is out of the ordinary. That's as much as I know. was approved by the committee. And it's refilling a position.
Is this the position where the individual left?
Yeah. I'm not sure where she went to. I don't know if she went to a different job, light job, or different kind
It
of.
says retirement.
Is that retirement? Is that what it is? Okay.
It says retirement here, so. At least on the PowerPoint.
Yep, there it is. I see it now too. Yeah, retirement.
Okay. And the proposed versus the previous, is that because of the wage study, or is that, how does that get done without any? Because that hasn't been approved yet, correct?
Yeah, I can't answer. You want us to bring them over here?
I do not know either, because whose writing is this?
I would have assumed that it would have to be at the current, and then as soon as the study is approved, then it gets bumped up and not automatically get bumped up.
And this is just a guess on my part. Some of this may be, it says the fringe of benefits. They may be looking, she may have had a single. They're looking at probably 1+1. They always do that, just to be on the safe side.
Oh, yeah, okay, because the salary is,
Salary is basically the same. In fact, it's lower, actually.
yes.
Yeah. So, and again, I'm guessing, but I think I'm pretty sure on it that
They're just putting the high.
they're putting the high-end van on the safe side.
I'll need a motion to approve the refill position of the correctional officer.
Because it falls, I think, within his budget, I will make that motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded to refill the request for correctional officer. Any other discussion? Deb, are you looking for the adjustment?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out if they started on the old or the new.
For the 1760 form, that was the amount, wasn't it?
Yeah. Because that was the other question on the... Looks like it would be grade H on this
On scale?
thing that had nothing here on the new one, which would put it at what, step 3?
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to call him. Just why is he in step 3 versus?
Okay.
This looks like this is somebody that's retired, so then...
Okay, can we,
Unless it's the same musical chairs thing like at Highway, maybe there's somebody that's already there that wants to move sideways.
yeah, that could
That would
be.
make
possible.
sense.
I would explain some of it.
Can we table this and move on to the next one while he's I don't know the correct procedure for that.
Well, we have a motion on the floor and a second. We should act on the motion before we do
Okay.
anything.
Okay, we'll wait. Okay. Yeah, good idea. Okay. What is the date for that?
Christine? I'm not sure, but did Tom have a sign-out sheet or a sign-in sheet for everybody?
Yes, I have it on the blue clipboard here.
Everybody sign in?
I can double check that.
Maybe this is a question for finance. I hope we don't end up finding Steve and then finding out that it's a finance pick.
No, I think it fell within his budget.
So did you get a chance to sign in?
Yes.
You did, okay, thank you. Did you get a chance to sign in? Thank you very much. I'll just leave that here.
He's on his way.
Unless this is a finance. Could this number have come from finance?
You know, it could be, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to cover the DCP ones?
No, we have a motion.
The
Oh,
motion
okay,
on the
okay,
board
okay,
is sitting
okay.
here, so.
Tell them, how's your weekend?
Yeah, hey, what about those Packers? Hey.
You get it, we had it, just the rain.
We got a lot of aggression. And we're supposed to get more.
Yeah.
Someone told me that for every inch of rain, it's 10 inches of snow.
Yeah.
That's right. 30 inches of snow.
Well, hopefully it all rains out before it's time.
It starts.
So, that's why I'm taking this one. So, when you go to bus?
It's great, right?
I'm a corner bar person. Yes. You know, I discovered on Friday night that you really want to get the people about 7:30.
My old next door neighbor on the corner.
Yeah, Saturday night usually about, 7:30. Whether between 5 and 7, let's forget it.
That's his name. My ex-ex.
My God, they've been interesting. You know, it's like, okay, we're waiting another hour, let's have another extension.
Takes a little
long since the north end
Oh, that's right, we're still closed on that end, aren't we? How long they gonna be closed?
was the sun.
I thought it was done. Looks like it's done.
Looks like it's done. Wasn't done yesterday.
Said it'd be a week.
Yeah, it's been over that, hasn't it?
I mean, everything is set, right? They're not working on it anymore, they're waiting for it to solidify and dry or whatever. I wouldn't think so. Everything is there.
That's what I thought, and I thought, I know.
They forgot about the tape and so it'll be up there till the 26th.
We'll just keep thinking while we can't
But
cross
it's
over.
good to
We'll
double
just-
check there, I suppose. 17, 16.
They're the same, we're wasting all the tape on this.
Because I don't have it. Yeah, well, it is what it is.
Sounds like they didn't come on.
You know those footsteps anywhere.
Yeah.
You're up.
You're up, man.
Sure. Okay, just a couple of questions. We assume the difference in the current versus the proposed is the additional insurance, correct?
You'd have to ask finance.
You don't know.
They do the numbers.
Okay. So
I
you,
believe
So
that's
that's
probably
afraid
the
of,
case,
see, that's
but
what we were wondering, is where the numbers came from, and it was like, ooh, maybe it came from
no,
finance.
they go right from finance.
okay,
I
so,
take it to them first, they perform their magic, and I just keep
Should I-
shuffling
And
along.
that's what I kind of assumed, and I had thought it was within your budget, so we have a motion on the floor and a second already, but we wanted to just double check it.
and the other question, of course, and the rate is at is that like step 3 versus the beginning step, so is that,
I think they based it on the current,
Occupant.
the current wage scale they are, because the new one hasn't been passed yet. So I believe they're doing it on the current wage scale.
That looks like it might be, because it looks like the
17,
new one is
16,
actually,
yes.
Yes.
Okay, is the current.
Okay.
starting
it looks
point.
like the new one starts lower, but I think that was because of that training thing. They had to have some way to move,
Yeah, I believe
they
so.
had to have some way to move,
Right.
they had to have a way to recruit, but then we had the training investment, or we were talking about a
Yeah.
starting rate.
yeah.
I think that's what they got going on here, but I'm not sure.
So it's not a transfer from someone else in your department?
No, that's the starting
It'll be a
wage
new
on
one.
a current scale.
Okay. All right, do we need more discussion then? Okay, all in favor for refilling that position at the presented rate, in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your presence.
You get your exercise. Okay, next we will look at the adult case manager position for community programs.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Now, you have all the right answers, right?
Well, I don't know about
So-
that, but try. This is the LTE one?
No,
This is the
Yeah.
LTE Adult Case Manager. We had a resignation of one of our adult case managers. His last day was this past Friday. He actually lived in Appleton and got a job with one of the family care MCOs down that way. So he left on the 10th. Because family care is slated to arrive sometime next year, we're asking for it to be filled as an LTE rather than as a regular full-time employee. This will allow us to continue serving the clients, help with that transition to family care. So it's important that we have it refilled to meet our client needs.
It's good that you're going to refill it with an LTE right off the bat, because we don't know with family care.
Exactly.
Good move. Thank you.
Okay. I will need a motion to approve that refill as an LTE.
I'll make a motion to refill the adult case manager LTE position.
Do I hear a second?
A second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, well, we need to revisit this then.
I don't think so, because family care is coming,
Right.
you know.
June or July,
and,
we're
Yeah,
anticipating.
it's gonna come, so I don't think, you're hiring a limited term employee, once family care is up and running, the employee's done.
I'm just thinking that, because this wouldn't be your next year. Remember the problems we had with LTEs, if they weren't spelled out, that's,
Is there a duration of time on there?
That was gonna be my
If
next
family care
question.
has any possibility of really doing it, does not change.
End date of 6/30/2015,
Yep.
that's when we anticipated
Family care.
No,
implementation of family
it would
care.
be very nice and save us a lot of time and energy if you decided to change that, move that time frame out. Because family care is going to roll out later than we anticipated. We know that for sure.
but then is
And
it an
you also-
LTE? Because you've got the,
You can change your resolution to say up to whatever, yes, it's still LTE. Whether or not there's enough hours in there where we'll get nicked with some of the bennies, I don't know, but again, this is unavoidable, it's the cost doing business. These positions generate revenue that pay for themselves, there's no county money here. If we have to pay some sort of unemployment or something like that, that's the cost of doing business that happens.
Is there parameters on how long an LTE can be an LTE?
You can keep renewing them.
Just keep, okay.
Right.
You just get caught with retirement then.
if they have too many hours,
Yeah.
you know,
It used to be 600, but I don't know if they're 5 something, I don't know if that's right on.
1200.
Is it 1200?
1200.
Yeah, I don't know if this person will make 1200 hours.
I don't know, but again, it really doesn't matter because we could come in here and say we need to refill this position with full-time FTE, and we'd be in that predicament anyway, so.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded to refill this case manager position.
Was the committee changed to indicate the end date?
Oh yeah, if you want to move that out.
I didn't know.
Do you want to move that out?
I would be comfortable saying to 8:30. Oh,
Yeah.
That makes sense.
yeah.
I'd like to.
Okay, I'll have you read it back then.
I'd like to.
and this one you use the new wage scale or the old wage scale? Because the new one isn't new yet.
Again, we get
Filled out
those.
by finance.
As Steve and Grant both said previously, the par form, we do the initial par form, fill out the top stuff, it's replacement or it's a new position, whatever. The numbers are plugged in by finance, not us.
I wonder for future reference, when we have car forms at these committee meetings, maybe we should just have Julia come down here and, because she's the one that does all the work on them, just have Julia come down and explain it.
I would
You know, I should have thought of that, and I apologize for
Or
not
just-
thinking about that.
Or just know
I think they probably will.
where they.
Where it is.
When they come up with the number, yeah.
The new one has not been passed, so I'm assuming, I bet that they're.
Just then be consistent or
Sure.
make sure.
No, I
because you
understand.
don't know.
No, I understand, I do.
Did you check it out on the?
Well, this is one of those where I think they must have changed the position because, or changed the title, or they're thinking of changing the title.
It should just be case manager.
Case manager, not adult case manager.
Yeah, this
Does it
is.
matter if it's adult or on
I don't
the scale?
think so.
I don't think so. I think all the case managers, well, maybe I'm going to be quicker, just look for the old
Look
person's
at this.
Right there you go.
That might help.
Look at this.
Really?
Oh, you know why?
No, this is it, yeah, but look at,
Our favorite lawyer.
oh, wait.
You're on, yeah, this is the one you're looking at.
Is there-
One of my favorites.
Is there such a thing?
Okay.
Right there. So they were, yeah, so they were on it.
They're right on,
Yeah, they were right from the beginning for the new ones.
Okay. Ready, Kristen?
Yes, that's good.
Motion by Erdman, seconded by Spatala to refill the adult case manager LTE position until the date of 8/30/2014.
2015.
Oh, excuse me, 2015.
Up to maybe was,
Okay, up
That's a
to.
good one.
yeah, because when family care comes, that's it.
Yeah, it might be before
It
that.
might be before that.
Right.
Would you like the phrase added, up to the date 8/30/2015, or the implementation of family care? Or is that saying two different?
Why don't we just leave it up to, if we need to come back, we'll come back.
Okay,
Is that all right?
so motion by Erdman, seconded by Spatala to refill the adult case manager LT position up to the date 8/30/2015.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next we have the
Community support
support professional.
This position is in our community support program, which serves people with serious and persistent mental health issues, things like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, major depression with psychosis. The goal of the program is to keep those individuals stable in their homes in the community. Not looking at placements in hospitals or group homes, but as much as possible in the community. So we do a lot of intensive hands-on, face-to-face work. It could be, 1 visit a week, it could be 3 visits a day, depending on what the individual needs. This position is a master's level position. It actually provides clinical supervision and day-to-day supervision to the rest of the team members. So there's 2 bachelor's level, which they may have more degree than that, but the position is a bachelor's level community support professional and a mental health tech. So this position has oversight of 3 staff. Some of the requirements of the position are having 3,000 hours of clinically supervised experience working with adults with serious and persistent mental health issues. So recruitment can be very difficult. A lot of times you have to actually recruit someone from another county's community support program, which is why we put the range in for the salary. We requested that they do the range so that we were able to look at what does the person come in with their experience and be able to, hire based on that. I think if there's anything else. Oh, this position will also work with our new program, the Comprehensive Community Services. So it's really important that we get someone in who can help with some of the clinical supervision, enroll people into these programs, and keep our team going.
Uh-oh, this one went off the new rate. I picked max.
It's the range.
These positions,
Al,
candidates,
are you looking under Al?
these positions are very hard to get. They're very competitive. They're completely paid for by third-party reimbursement. If we don't have these people in positions, we cannot capture third-party billing, and the county loses revenue.
And these programs are only billable to medical assistants, both community support program and comprehensive community services. So they bill directly to medical assistants.
You're saying then that most of this is all billable?
Ways.
All of it.
Yeah, the community support program is, you can start billing the moment you start thinking of a client.
Right.
I used to make light of that. I told one of my workers once, when you're in your shower and you think of a client, you start billing. You can start billing, you can bill that thing. But it is, I hate to use the word cash cow, because I'm being taped saying it, but it is, the reimbursement rate is tremendous.
And it's a critical
Inpatient
program to keep
yeah.
these people out of the inpatient facilities, which at $1,200 a day, we'd be much better served serving them in the community, and it's better quality of life for the people that we work with. So.
It was a joke I had with one of my workers in Wyoming County.
Then why did Carlson Detman rate it the way it did?
Well, there's,
Because that,
We've all
I mean,
had
what's
questions
circled
about
here
certain things.
apparently is used as the figure is the max. That
But
would
if
be
you,
starting
if you
somebody
look,
out at
that's the
max.
high end, and then there's the low end. It's a range, is what we're requesting. So if we flip the page, there's the low end, where it's starting, and then the high end. So it just gives us the opportunity, as we're recruiting,
They're qualified, they get the high end.
absolutely.
Maybe starting somebody out at the
So, okay, yeah, I didn't realize that, there's 2 pages. You got that, the
Yeah,
page,
two
next page
pages.
is the 2377.
Yep, I
Okay,
got
so it's a range, when you advertise, it'll be
Yes, it's a range.
listed
Yeah,
there.
the max, then where do they get, unless you figure these people don't stay long, is that?
well, the goal of doing the range is that they will stay.
And
Otherwise, we'll never recruit from
they
another
don't
county.
stay long and they're hard to find.
Well, and
Yes.
I think because, didn't you say some of the educational requirements?
Yes.
Are, they can come at a lower rate but if you hire them at a more education experience or more hours experience, then they would expect a higher rate.
And they would be, and also bill, and they also bill more
The
too.
3,000 hours is addition to a master's degree
Right.
of clinical experience. That's hard to do. I've done that. That's hard.
And beyond that, once you're working in the program, you actually have to have those hours signed off on, sent into the state. The state then approves you to be a CSP, clinical coordinator. So it's not just, we hire them and off they run with CSP. We actually have to then go through additional steps to make sure that they have the requirements they need for the state to approve it. This is a state certified program, and our certification is coming up. I've got the paperwork. I have to send that in next week, so the state surveyor from the Division of Quality Assurance will be in end of November, early December, and we'll be looking if we don't have, at least trying to recruit this position, then we're always in jeopardy of a citation or losing our certification, and I don't want that to happen at all.
So, in the hiring process, is that when you determine what rate goes?
Based on the credentials and the qualifications.
And do you make that decision then?
Yeah, I will make that jointly as a team, find the best person. Absolutely.
And we don't have anybody in this position now?
She actually resigned. She's done next Friday, taking a position at North Central because she lives near Burnham Wood. So, quicker
You're not
drive
gonna
to
live.
Wausau. She's an excellent employee. It's a big loss for the county.
Okay, I will need a motion to approve this refill request for community support professional and community programs.
I'll make the motion.
Do I hear a second?
I will second it.
You don't need to read that back, do we?
No, I don't have any changes, if you're comfortable to go on.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve the refill request for community support professional. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Admin committee, take 2. The packet
Are you here for any special reason?
The one I am here for is the wage and classification study.
Are you in a hurry?
No, I'm glad listening to the
You always like to have you here.
meeting seems more much smoother. I think it's probably because we got the vice chair filling for that.
We got that. You meant that person.
This is a nice day.
Because of what?
We're on camera now, so I can't. It's good to you.
Well, that's what he said, but I didn't get to hear it, so I'll have to listen to that whole tape.
Justifying that.
Just kidding, Gene.
Okay, do you want to move to 14 then, so that we can... Okay, this is where we approve the resolution for the wage and classification study, so if we so choose.
Did you want me to cast them?
I think what Christine should be passing out is, as you remember when you came here last week or whatever it was, a couple weeks ago, there was
Some blanks.
blanks. I filled those in consistent with what the admin committee directed, and then there were some blanks left that had to go to the finance committee. Gary is here on both committees, so I think they filled that in, at least that's the information we got, that it's going to be a full implementation as of January 1 of 2015. Effective January 1 of 2015, so we filled in those items, and I think now you've got a wage study resolution with attachments. You don't have the attachments, I have them. But those are just the pay plan itself and the appeal process form. So you should have a finalized version of the wage study resolution in front of you.
And you've got the appeal process, we don't have that with you. You've got, yeah, that's right, yeah, you made it
It
there.
was one page full, it was
From last meeting, yes. Was this in our packet?
Yeah, take a look at number 7.
This is brand new?
No, this is brand new because of all the changes that we made to it before we got it mailed out.
Okay,
Okay, you
Let's-
squished it in there.
let's just take a minute.
Yeah, I think I got everything. I mean, I put it in, because some people have brought it up at different spots.
Jerry, you're on finance. Did they remove that 2% across the board?
The 2%
to make this?
Yes, yes and no. The 2% that was originally figured in the budget across the board
Yeah.
was taken out, and it was put basically in a contingency. That gave us the opportunity to get down under the dollar amount the finance director said we needed to come in at for the budget. So we were able to get down, I think, totally, I think we were like $4,000 underneath the dollar amount the finance director told us we needed to get to. Still figuring in that we had the contingency, which was the 2% in order to pay for this wage study. So the budget-
Not pay for the study, pay for the.
Pay for the implementation of that study. So we're actually in good shape, considering the changes we had to do within the budget, the cuts we had to make. It turned out good.
Will it be sustainable now? I mean, because we
Yes.
can't dip into the
Yes.
PS thing every...
Right, I think, and this committee definitely needs to look at, and Carlson recommended it too, and Barb made the comment on the county board floor. There's no doubt Shawano County will fall into that Cadillac plan with our benefits, so this committee, and Tom's aware of it too, we need to look at our health insurance. We need to make some adjustments there. And making those adjustments, I believe, next year would we could implement them then for 2016, but I think that's going to make a significant difference too in our 2016 budget.
We were looking at possibly, I don't know if I can go off on, want to stay within subject, but looking at different levels of health insurance per employee, different categories. If you have a young single male who's probably in the epitome of his health at that time, the ultimate end of his health, you don't need a big policy. So we categorize. Not that we want to group people, but you have certain levels of health insurance. That's what we're looking at for next year. But that's something that the Finance Committee talked about. Looking at that, knowing full well that we are probably going to be a Cadillac plan, which impacts Obamacare then too. I should say the impact of Obamacare will be on us.
Right.
So
Like Barb had mentioned, it's no sense in giving $400 to the Fed for $400,000 to the federal government. We need to look at our health insurance plans
But when you
to
look
drop
at
that down.
When you look at that information she gave us, if you factored in the benefits, we're way above grade now.
Well, that's.
But I don't think anybody factors in the benefits. I just don't know if it's going to be perceived, I'm afraid of, oh, so you gave me, in some cases, 4 cents an hour and made me pay X amount more in health insurance. And I think you're going to have to do something other than just come up with something for those single people, because otherwise we're still going to get caught back.
I think we're going to have to probably look at a consultant on something like this to give us what kind of levels, what kind of categories can we do this. First off, can we do this? And how do we implement something like that? This is something where I don't know if we have the people that can do that in-house. We may have to look at a consultant, an insurance consultant, to go through some of this stuff for us next year.
Obviously, it's something this committee, along with the Finance Committee, needs to look at.
Absolutely.
There's no way we can afford to just write a check out for hundreds of thousands of dollars, throw it out to the federal government. Granted, and this year with this job classification and wage study, like I said, everything falls within budget. We're able to do this, implement it all at once, which is better than splitting it. I know the administrative committee had at one time suggested a 3-year implementation, but that was before we found out that we could implement it all at once financially. So in the long run, we're better to implement it all at once, get it over with, and then start your steps. And is it sustainable? I believe it would be, but we need to look at our health insurance benefits. And that's why, if you're going to be looking at health insurance benefits, you need to treat the staff appropriately by passing the wage study.
Except I think they're going to see it as two different things and not.
I guess I would point this out. You're going to have to do something with the health insurance plan anyway.
Right.
And it's going to be better received if it's after a wage study that gives a great many people at least some increase. So given the fact that it's a mandate that we have to deal with the health insurance, I think the course we're on is the best one we can engage in.
Right, I think passing this wage study now, and then next year, looking at the health insurance coverages that we have, is the way to go.
Okay.
So, because I was a part of both on the admin and on the financial part, I will make a motion to approve the wage study and job classification and send it to the county board.
Resolution. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
If I could just raise one point, Mom, I don't know if you wanted to talk to the committee about the fact that I know I got some calls, and I think you may have gotten some calls about the appeals process and who's going to be the final determiner of that, whether it be, the board or the admin committee. I don't know if you wanted to at least raise that for discussion. But I know I've gotten a few calls from supervisors saying that it should go back to the county board rather than the admin committee. I know we had this discussion before, and I know the admin committee thought, and I think the consultant thought, that the admin committee is the place where the final appeal should rest. But I I just wanted to bring it up so that you're aware of it in case you wanted to discuss it a little further. If you don't, that's fine. But when I get information from other supervisors, I tend to convey that so at least you're aware of it and can consider it, if for no other reason than to be prepared for that discussion on the county board floor.
Is that stated in here that?
If you take a look on the bottom of the second
Yep.
page.
Shall be heard, okay, decided by the administrative committee, got it.
I personally believe, I think it should be the admin committee, because if you have 27 members looking at this, you could have chaos. You know, I think that's what the admin committee is for, is to, you know, be the administrative committee, and this is an administrative function.
And I think the final decision is Carlson Detman. We're just overseeing that decision, right?
You're talking about the appeal process.
Right.
Well, typically, the recommendation of the consultant is followed, but the final determiner is
You have the final
the
word.
admin committee or the board as you determine in the resolution. You know, again, hopefully the consultant, since that's what we're paying him to do, is a recommendation that you may want to follow, but at the end of the day, you don't have to.
And they were very good about giving us the evidence about why it is at this rate or why it isn't at this rate, and how we determine that, and that's the one thing that we wanted and all of this was that we had something to back our decisions on, and
Well, the rest of the board didn't get to see some of that, because they would have had to sign that disclosure thing.
but
And
I'm
also the fact
saying,
that you've been working closely. This committee has worked closely with Carlson Detman. And I just think, you know, and not to say you're smarter than the rest of the county board, but you're more experienced than the rest of the county board. So to me, to my mind, it just makes sense. That,
Let's remember, this isn't really our document. This is what Barb drew up. This is Carlson Detman's document. We had questions on maybe 24 pay grades, and Barb thoroughly looked at them, and there were cases where obviously some pay grades went up.
Yep.
So we're just approving what Carlson Detman basically did for the county.
Yeah, and clearly we know that's the case because Carlson Detman didn't make all of the changes you had asked.
Correct.
So, I mean, as is typically the case when they do one of these, they're open to and receptive to the fact that there's some institutional knowledge here. Things may be a little different for some positions than others, and I heard those concerns and did change some positions, but not others. So this is, as it stands now, their decision, their work product, and I think we can debunk the myth that it's creation of the admin committee, because I think as Barb has spoken and she'll be happy to repeat, this is her work product.
Right.
and Deb, you had made the comment that the county board hasn't seen the rest of this, and when it comes down to an appeals process, the county board isn't the one that we're going to have to answer to. It's the employee or staff member who's appealing, correct?
Correct. And they will have to take that up with Carlson Detman. But in all reality, the county board has seen this. They've had it since the last county board meeting.
Right, but they haven't seen the way Carlson Detman did their evaluations.
There was one I found of the old grid from 2012 that actually listed, I think it's the Borkland, where they actually listed pay range, and realized what the problem was on some of the positions that were complaining is that they're maxed. They were at the max. They were at the max already. That was what the whole problem was. When you look at the old range.
In here, it said, new hires shall be placed on the pay plan at the minimum rate and eligible step increases as follows.
Just for everybody, so you're looking at number 7 on the second page?
Yes, yes. What happens when we get a situation like we had today with the patrolmen, where they move internally, have helped with that job, have experience, and, they slipped into the step that makes it even rather than,
Or the one with DCP, we just approved a range.
I guess there will always be questions that will come up. But like our handbook, it's a living document, we need to review it quite often.
and I guess my other question is, as we do now, requests for refills come to admin, will that stay the same after this implementation process?
Sure.
It's going to be, the handbook still
The
continues to
handbook
go.
says that, yeah.
So-
Nothing changes in that.
So then we would have a chance to scrutinize that a bit.
Correct.
Yeah, like Jerry said, I think he put it right when he said this is, two things. There may be those, 0.1% of 1% of cases that come up that you need to take a look at in particular. But I think the overall vast majority of the situations are covered adequately by the plan, and you certainly reserve the right, and continue to have the right under the handbook to address refills and those, perimeter decisions that may not fall squarely into this, but those will be few and far between.
Okay, then,
Yep, that's it.
is there any other discussion? I'm going to say right now, I'm not in favor of full implementation. I think for someone to get minimal increase and others to get $3 is really,
Right.
and it may be just a few, and if that's the case, then we need to either split it in half, thirds or half or something. That's my opinion on it.
But those that are receiving maybe minimal increases right now, according to Barb, they're at their market value.
I agree.
Factoring in the benefits, they're over market right now, and that's not what we hear though, and everybody.
I guess just the way I would throw it out there, and I know I don't get a vote, but if you have a wage study that comes back and says you're leaving out the benefits at this point, because I know you're going to address those in the upcoming months, but if you have a wage study that comes back and says, okay, this person is under market by a dime, so we're going to move them up. This person is under by $2, so they need to be moved up. I guess I personally don't understand the rationale then of saying, okay, we can treat the one who only gets a 10-cent raise fairly, like bringing them up. But let's do implementation over time, so we delay treating those who are entitled to a bigger raise. I don't see that. I'm not,
No, I know what you're saying, and I would happen to agree, but also there's no way. I would argue almost impossible to compare apples to apples. I mean, in some jobs, I don't care what the job name is, if we have a staff 1 in Shawano County doing this job and staff 1 in Brown County doing this job, there is no way that they are doing exactly the same thing. There are those jobs that you just cannot compare apples to apples.
I guess how does that pertain to implementation?
It pertains to implementation. Are those the ones that are iffy getting the higher rate, or is that the reason that Shawano County had kept them at a lower rate all these years? Because their job is not.
I guess that's more issue with whether or not the classifications are accurate. Because it seems like what you're saying is, well, I don't really like the classification, so I want to put that off because I don't really like them. So
No, I'm not. I know what you're saying, but no, that's not the reason. I feel like there must have been a reason that Shawano County's pay scale was that much lower. And if it was that much lower, how are we retaining them if they're not happy with what they have?
Isn't that the purpose we did
Exactly, but if they're happy with the study, or with their job as it is now, and they're gonna get a $2 an hour raise, I guess I would be ecstatic about that.
Yeah, but you're saying they're happy with their job the way it is now, and somebody's telling them that they should get a $2 an hour raise, and then you're not gonna give them one?
No, they are gonna get it, it's just not gonna be all at one time.
I guess if I'm hearing correctly, we had people who may have been happy with working below market, so let's,
Happy to have a
let's, I'm gonna use a phrase that you may not agree with, but continue to get away with paying them below market for 1 or 2 or 3 years longer than we have to.
Well,
That's what
no,
you're
I
telling
don't,
me.
I don't wanna say get away with it.
Oh, that's what you're gonna tell them.
No, I'm not. Bill, don't tell me what I'm gonna tell them. That's
That's what they're gonna assume.
Okay, that may be
That's
their
what they're
perception.
assuming.
That may be their
But isn't
perception.
that, I mean, you're delaying, we have a wage study that says this is what the market value is, $2 raise or whatever. And I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying. Is they've been satisfied or haven't left. I don't know if they've been looking or whatever, or what other business we're talking about, but since they haven't left, we can delay giving them a raise, even though it's below market.
Yes, we can.
And I guess if that's interesting.
I think the fact of the matter is, if you go from department to department, you will see that we are losing staff. And it's because they're receiving more, they can receive more money elsewhere. The fact of the matter is, we have a wage study. We can afford to implement it fully. Whether or not that's going to be discussed, drawn out on the county board floor, I would still say and urge this committee, let's vote to get it to the county board floor, and then let the county board as a whole, if they're going to dissect it, let them dissect it, but at least get it there.
And that I'm in agreement with. I can go along with that. I guess, like Deb was talking, the benefits are still something we have to work with. So, in response to, we can afford it. You know what? I can afford a lot of things, but I don't always go to the maximum because I try to be cautious and conscientious about that limit. That's my big thing, is being cautious and conscientious about that limit.
And Barb's recommendation was to do full implementation of the study.
Their recommendation was also, though, to take every single position and rate it so that it would get an increase. And when you look at the ones that are red circled, we used to have that pay for performance. And you can see it, where some of the red circled people maybe excelled and got a bigger bump, and now all of a sudden we got to treat them all the same again. You have some people here that work here considerably a longer amount of time, so in theory then you have more experience, and all of a sudden you're all the same because of the position. Where you may have had somebody that had increased because they had excelled or had a great idea or lit the world on fire in some way, shape, or form, and now they're all the same again. And if we put the performance aspect in it again, we're going to repeat history, and then the same amount of years down the road, somebody's going to have to, we got to bring all these people out, and we're all the same again.
Yeah, and that's true, but hopefully that's addressed in that it needs to be reevaluated.
Every year, and you are getting an increase. You may be in the same grade, but for people who are paid differently now, you get placed on a different step depending on what takes you to the next
No, there's
raise
some
up.
of them that are red.
Well, of course there are some, but again, it's like Jerry said before. You can't have a wage study. I would think that Barb would tell you that 100% of the people aren't going to be happy. But I think you have to go with something that you think is A, fair, and B, covers as many of the circumstances as it possibly can. You try to endeavor to do anything more than that,
Yeah, it's kind of disheartening to hear staff that may get a $2-3 increase that are still not happy.
And I just, for the record, I have no idea who those are. I have not picked those out and looked at those individuals, so I don't want anybody to think I'm looking at a position or a person, because I have no idea who they are. And I know how it, like Bill said, it may be perceived wrong, but I'm very, very financially frugal. So I'm going to say that's my reasoning for that, is that I don't want to go to the limit without being conscientious about possible changes in the future, whether it be with insurance or performance. So where do we want to go with this? Do we want to adopt this and let the board throw it at? I mean, if we go as it is, it's not going to get passed because
If I may, I should help you there. I think the finance committee agreed, they voted on it, correct?
The finance committee voted on it 100%.
Okay.
We had one person absent, but it was 4 and then 1 absent, basically to send it forward with full implementation. Given the fact that we did have the money to implement it, given the fact that it fell within our budget, and also the fact that Carlson Detman recommended 1-year implementation because it would be actually less work also for the finance department.
The reason I bring it up is because then it goes to the county board no matter what. No
Okay.
matter what happens here, because you'd have one committee that already agreed to send it to the board. And I would throw this out there. Of course, you have your options. If it turns out to be 2-2, you could still vote to send it to the county board on rules. And you might want to, we could include a note if you wanted to that it isn't the pay plan overall that you have a problem with, unless it is. But we could put a note that the no's were because you did favor implementation immediately. But it'd be nice to give the county board, because you guys are the ones who have worked on this for the longest time.
No, I think it should go. I just would like my opinion known.
Yeah, and I think it'd be nice, because a lot of people are going to ask, well, geez, there's 2 no's.
Right.
They don't like the job Carlson Detman did. I don't think that's what you're saying. I think it's just our choice about implementation.
Right.
So we could make, well, I don't want to put your words in your mouth, but we could, if that's what Bonnie felt, we could note in fairness to her that, hey, I'm not saying no on the overall resolution, I just think we ought to look at implementation. And we could, if you wanted us to note the particulars of your vote so the county board could see it, so they could factor that into their pre-analysis before the board, we can do that as well.
The FLSA determination, that was probably first and foremost one of the things that we were hoping to see. I mean, that's a dangerous area to not know if you're correctly classified, and we don't get that until after adopting this.
Yeah, that won't affect the wage and classification though. And I think we had a discussion, because remember we were talking about that date that we were going to insert in a marketing explanation that, it affects certain things, whether you can pay somebody, always you have to comply with the Fair Labor Standards Act, you can do more. But all that determination is whether or not they're hourly or salary, but it's still based on the grade and the wage within that grade. Those are Barb's words.
So,
Well, I will make a motion to send this resolution to the county board as presented.
I did have a motion from Bergman, seconded by Sutalo, to approve the wage and classification study resolution as presented and forward it to the county board.
To approve it?
To approve the wage and classification resolution as presented. Did I understand you correctly? Okay.
okay, do we want to vote on this as sending it to the county board, or do we want to vote on this for approval?
It says approve.
If I may, I think you'd want to vote first on whether or not you approve it, because if you voted, I don't know if it's going to be 2-2, that's kind of reading the tea leaves here, what it might be, then you could tell me if you wanted us to note in the resolution why that is, or not. You don't have to disclose why you voted no. But then the next vote, since it was 2-2, if that's what it turns out to be, would be a motion and a second to send it nonetheless to the county board forward. It's going there anyway because the finance
Yes.
committee, but it'd be
Yes.
nice to know that
Yes.
at least you're sending it.
Yes.
You don't want to sit on it.
Right,
Right, and your reasoning will be in there.
okay.
No, we haven't heard all my reasoning yet.
Okay, let's hear it from Deb. Go ahead, the discussion is open for you.
No, I'm going to vote no because there are reasons. The exempt status, which was probably the most critical. For some reason, we have this grid without. I don't know why we made the employees. They had to sit there doing a pile of work trying to figure out which slug am I, which spot am I, and then figure out what their wage was. We should have just given them the darn chart. They should have been able to look and find their name and say, there I am, and know exactly, because they can figure it out anyway.
Some of them already have it.
Why wouldn't we? And why wouldn't we have shared that with the board?
Anything else, Deb?
No.
Okay, so this resolution is for approval, not for sending it to the county board.
This vote is for. It's just.
Or, excuse me, this vote is for,
And Jerry, that was the motion you made? Did I take that down correctly? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
you want to read it?
Again, motion made by Erdman, seconded by Spitala to approve the wage and classification study resolution as presented and forwarded to the county board.
No. We're not
I
talking about.
think you could just take out, I know that's what would happen, but maybe we could just take out and forward it to the county board.
Okay, okay.
Okay, take out forward to the county board.
Yes.
Okay. I did hear you say that, I'm sorry.
No, you heard, but we just had a chance to kind of visit it now. And
I understand, thank you. Okay, motion by Erdman, seconded by Sutala to approve the wage and classification study resolution as presented.
Okay. The motion's been made and seconded to approve the wage and classification study. Bill?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Deb?
No.
Bonnie, no. Now, would you like us, do you want to take the notes on our disapproval, or do you want?
yeah, I think I have yours.
I don't know.
And I don't know if Deb wants me to.
It doesn't really, I mean,
I just
there are
like-
a multitude of reasons.
Okay.
But just speaking for you, Bonnie, I think you, and it's your prerogative, we could note that you voted no, we'd put an asterisk, and we type in that you were in favor of the pay plan adoption, but against the immediate implementation, and would favor having it phased in over a period of time.
Correct. And if you would put in there that just to be cautious financially,
Sure.
something like that.
And for yours, Deb, we'll just, until you tell us otherwise, we'll just put no.
Unless you want like a whole paragraph. There are a multitude of reasons, and I don't think you want a whole paragraph.
No is good. No means no, right?
Okay. Then I will make a motion to send this resolution to the county board as approved by finance.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
Second?
Obviously second, because we don't want to spend money on a study and then not implement
It
it.
has to get to the board.
Yes.
It's got to get.
And you know, whatever's decided, I'll totally go along with that. I'm just more of a cautious person, I guess.
I'm cautious too, Bonnie. So I got a target on my back.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to send this resolution, or forward this resolution to county board. All in favor, Bill?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Yes.
So you put both of those on there?
Yes.
And things?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, then we can move on to
Want to go back to the budget?
13, back to 13?
Sure.
The roofing.
Some of the suggestions that had come in as to whether or not we could or couldn't.
I don't want to speak out of turn, but I'm happy to address that, whatever it is on the agenda.
If you didn't get a chance, then we don't need you sitting here, but, you know.
I'm just looking for where it is on the
You want to go to 13? Okay. 15? 15.
16 is off.
You still got that.
16 is off?
That's what I've been
Yeah,
told.
Yeah,
I knew something was
why?
coming, okay.
Okay, Bonnie, the only other one I would be here for, if you're interested, is 15. If you, you know.
That one's off, isn't it?
16.
Oh, 16 is off,
Which doesn't
okay.
make any sense, but,
I would take off 15 before I take off 16.
yeah, why?
Well, it's on here, so we can't just decide not to address it, can we?
Somebody amended the agenda. I have no idea who was in the email box like a Zero Dark 30.
Christine, do you know?
I do. Jean gave me a call yesterday morning and asked that the agenda be amended and that item 16 be taken out.
And did he give a reason?
He did not.
Okay. Maybe he wanted to be here for that, and you wouldn't
No,
have.
why would we deal with 15?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to postpone 15 after we discuss.
We have to. We can't do things backwards.
Right.
Taking 16 off makes it backwards, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do have information for you on one of the,
Oh, yes.
but maybe we should just wait till
I think
Jane is
so.
here,
I
and
would-
then
I
at the
would
next
like-
meeting, I'll share it with
So
you.
you want to postpone 16's already off.
Yeah, I would like
So
to
you want
know.
to postpone 15.
So I think 15 hasn't been called, Bonnie? Are we at 15?
We can go to it right now.
Actually, we can go, we just weren't gonna bring it up because we were gonna,
16 we were-
Since then you're going to take some action on it.
Okay.
So you have to call it, and then if Bill wants to make a motion to postpone to the next meeting,
okay,
that would be the official way to do
okay,
it.
and then we won't hear from you until
The next meeting.
the next
Correct.
meeting. Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to postpone 15,
First you have to
discussion.
call 15.
15.
First
Oh.
we have to,
Yeah.
We are discussing number
There you go.
15, possible action regarding suggestions by committees and county board members for the county board rules.
and I'd like
Now,
to
Bill has motioned
make a
to
motion.
postpone that until our next meeting. Do I hear a second?
Is that the next regular meeting, which would be next month?
Yes.
Okay, so just so we're aware, because then it will not appear on the county board agenda for this month.
Right.
Which is probably wise, anyway, given the fact we've got
Yeah.
some pretty meaty stuff on there already. And I don't think you've heard back from everybody yet, have you?
No, I mean,
How many times is he supposed to ask?
Yeah, right. I've asked
I
you
know,
right
I
now.
thought you were still
Yeah.
gathering information. But if they're saying, I just sent out email saying if we don't hear anybody from X date, we're going to assume you have no comments.
I'll second that motion, or can chair second?
Sure.
it?
Yeah, you can.
Seconded to postpone it till our next regular meeting. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. All right,
Number 13.
now we can go back to 13 and you may be dismissed.
Thank you very much. You bet.
I never got to say that as because I was
Okay, back to the military.
All right,
Gene called us and asked us to put that on, so, number 13.
Number 13?
Yeah. I don't know if it came out of closed session or something Gene wanted, but you have in your packets, the most current, department budget through September 30th.
I think part of the question was, I know what this might be, is related to the wage study.
Related to the
As
wage
to how
study.
much,
how much we
what's it
spent?
yeah, because there was some,
You talk about the legal,
no, the wage study, the
how much you're
special
spending on it?
studies,
Okay.
as to how much was left.
Well, let's get to that. That would be the,
I think it's special studies, I think it's
yeah,
the.
I just don't, it's in here, I know it is. Yeah, special studies consulting services. It would be, there's not a page number on this, I can see.
No,
Oh, the way down, okay.
Yeah, they're back to back, so it would be 15003. I think you went too far. See, now they're back to back, so yeah,
okay.
they're different,
Here, got it.
yeah, consulting services.
So we are within our
But
budget.
those contract details, that shouldn't be have increase.
Right, it just, we've already paid what, that was the question, is exactly what had we paid so far? It looked like it's the 44 number.
What we paid so far.
What was that contract number?
50.
It was up to 50,000, I think it was
No, it was
42,000?
No, yeah, it was
42,000 was the contract, but I know, and again, I think there was a few times when we had them come in, and it was above and beyond the contract, and we're also including hotels and mileage, I think. We'll have to go back and look at the bill.
There was also a number of jobs they were classifying, and if we went over that amount,
Then it'd be
it was.
250 per classification, or per job, per title.
Right.
And I do think we did go
If it was less, there was supposed to be
a deduction.
Right, right.
Except I think Grant had already consolidated positions and then they got broken out again, so then we
Yeah.
paid for them anyway.
Well, can we have this for the next meeting, a clear printout of the number of
Sure.
jobs?
If we would have been told that, we would have gotten it for you, you know.
There was
We just
a-
gave you the whole budget, that's all we knew. I thought you were gonna ask about legal fees, to be honest with you, but,
Well,
Okay.
well, we should look at that too, I suppose.
I shouldn't have
On
said
this
that.
end,
We will get,
agreed contract, I remember it was in there, they listed the appeals process.
yeah,
And I think that's where this all comes from is, okay, now we're talking about this appeals process, whether it go to, because it sounded like that might be kind of lengthy. They were gonna go through it first and then expect committee to go through it first, then.
It was the appeals process supposed to be part of the contract? It was,
Right,
wasn't
I
it?
thought it was.
Right.
And then when you look at how much is or isn't left. And I guess I thought it was part of the contract, but maybe we better double
yeah.
check, because you wouldn't want to say, oh, sure, let's do that, and then end up pushing it over.
Yeah, yeah.
So Tom, can you get that information for
Yep,
us?
I'm ready right
Next
now.
meeting?
I'm gonna get all the
And maybe
invoices
have
we've
this
got,
come
I'll go
back.
through
Yeah,
finance.
I think so.
Everything we paid up to a certain date, and,
Have this come back at the next meeting. I would
Yeah.
move to revisit with more information at the
yeah,
next
yeah,
meeting.
yeah, no problem. Basically print out of all Carlson Detman invoices and payments.
We just need to make sure we're not.
And then find out if the appeals process was part of that contract. I'm sure it was too.
I thought it was too, but we'll find out.
So have we already prepaid for that then?
I can't answer that, 'cause I don't know.
Well, you're gonna find out.
I'm gonna find out, yeah.
Okay, I will make the motion to revisit the budget to actual, and particular this one especially, when we have more information. You want a date certain at our next meeting?
You want it by the next meeting?
Next meeting.
Next regularly scheduled?
Next regular scheduled meeting, that's 3-4 weeks away.
Yeah, for November meeting, I'll put down.
Okay, the motion has been made
I'll second that.
and second to revisit the budget.
Budget to actual by cost
Budget.
center.
By cost center. At our next regular meeting with more information to be provided. All in favor say aye. Deb?
Aye.
Aye. Motion opposed, motion carried. Do you know if you wanted us to discuss anything else on here?
Well, you know, I think I might take this opportunity to let you guys know, and that the legal fees are building are getting bigger, just so you know. And right now, we're projected to be over budget by about $3,000 on our legal.
On our legal fee?
On the legal fees. Well, what we call it, legal and labor relations legal fees, yeah.
Yeah, well, they're working on labor relations too, Rick.
Right, yeah, I mean, this isn't just what's been going on.
Right.
We're talking about everything they do, you know. So just an FYI that we are gonna be over. And just so you don't come back and say, you guys didn't do your budget right, just, you know.
But we realize that.
Yeah, but I just wanna make sure that you guys are aware of it, that's all,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay, then we will move on to
Close
Item
closed session.
17, I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
I'll second that. The motion was made by Jerry, seconded by Bonnie to go into closed session. Bill?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.